Can you imagine that some people believe God is a scam? One such person is Bradley, and he's a staunch atheist. For him, God is a scam. But he didn't always start that way. For him, his family were very strong Christians. They went to church, they read the Bible, they believed in God. Until one day, Bradley's father passed away. Of course, Bradley was very angry with God because how? And the following year, his mother passed away. At this point, Bradley is taken in by his uncle Ronnie. And finally, Bradley thinks he catches a break until 2 years later, Uncle Ronnie too has. Bradley says, I have prayed for each of my family members and they've all God is a scam. I do not believe in him anymore. He leaves God behind and carries on with his life. He eventually finds love, gets married, and has a bouncing baby boy. At this point, Bradley feels like his life is finally set. All his things are in order. When 2 years down the line, they realize that Bradley's son is not walking and talking and acting the way every normal 2-year-old boy is. So they take him to the hospital, take him to the doctors, and they're told that he has spinal tethering, which is a very rare condition, usually only found in adults. This baby boy, who's not even started his life, has it. Unfortunately, spinal tethering means that the muscles in his arms and legs are weakening, and eventually he'll be completely confined to a wheelchair. Bradley says he will find a solution for his son because this cannot be the life planned for it. This innocent child. So they arrange to go to the hospital and get tests done by the doctors. On their way there, Bradley is in the car and something's playing on the radio. It's a preacher and he says something very interesting. What you do to the least of these, you do to me. Bradley recognizes that as scripture. He says, you know what? For the first time in 20 years, he's going to pray. He said, God, please help me, help my son, save him. That's all. That's all I ask. If you really are real, save my son. He gets to the hospital, and as he sits in the parking lot, something in him tells him to speak to the homeless person, give him money, and ask the homeless person to pray for him. Bradley sees the homeless person and says, nah, I can't just have thoughts and feelings giving me instructions. As he prepares to walk past the homeless person, he's going, and he hears somebody calling him, sir, in the background. He turns around, and it is indeed that homeless person. Obviously, Bradley's like, what could you possibly want with me? He says, I don't want your trouble. I just wanted to tell you, you dropped your wallet. That's all. Bradley is shocked and goes, you know what? If you could please pray for me. Homeless guy looks at him and says, pray for you? For what? You are a rich man. Everything's going well in your life. What do you need me prayers for? He says, my son is sick. The homeless guy looks at him and goes, is it a spinal issue? Obviously. Who is this person and what does he know? Bradley goes, yeah. The homeless man says, you know what? I'll pray for you. So in that moment, he prays for Bradley and his son. And then he tells him, be on your way. Bradley says, oh, please take something. I mean, you're homeless and impoverished. Let me give you something. The homeless guy says, no, I don't want your money. But when you get home, please look up Matthew 25, verse 40. That's odd. Bradley says, you know what? Let me carry on and see. But he stops and turns around, wanting to thank the homeless man, and realizes he has vanished. He's gone. No trace of him. Obviously, still confused and perplexed, Bradley goes to hospital, wanting to talk to the doctors who are doing tests on his son. He gets there, and his son, who's normally very tired, exhausted, crying, in pain, is perfectly fine. He's walking up and down, talking to people, laughing, excited. And Bradley looks at doctors and say, oh, what's going on? What did you guys give him? Doctors honestly tell him, look, we did nothing. We have no hand in this. Even if we gave him something to feel better, it wouldn't be like this. He's basically healed. There's nothing wrong with him. Bradley's overjoyed. His son has been healed. His son has been saved. He heads home. As he gets home, he remembers that the homeless guy who prayed for him told him to look for one thing. Open the Bible and find Matthew 25, verse 40. And when he does, it says, assuredly, I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me. And Bradley reads it and realizes it's the exact same message that he heard that very morning from the pastor on the radio. At that moment, Bradley decides, you know what? God is real and he has performed this miracle for me. I have no other choice but to respect him and acknowledge him and follow his path. From that day forward, Bradley becomes an advocate for the ministry. So, are you reading your Bible? And what are you praying to God for? That's all we got for you guys. Catch us in another episode. Don't forget to read more at nonexistence.com, and I'll see you next time.
That shit proved absolutely nothing. That's just her talking. Even if that did happen, sometimes things happen. Sometimes people get cured from things. Your body naturally has its own defense system against disease. So that proves nothing.
That's BS. That's absolute BS. So God wants to God wants you to choose him. God wants you to be a Christian, but God waits for your son to be sick. That God is an evil character.
Hmm.
If he's waiting for you to be at your most desperate just to come looking for him, I find that suspicious. I find that diabolical. And any God that wants that of me, sorry, not just no. If I didn't choose you when I was well, healthy, and everything around me is working good, and I'm happy, why should I choose you when everything goes wrong? Why should I choose that God? Makes no sense.
I feel like you torturing my child just to prove to me that you're real. What if you couldn't convince me?
Hey,
What you was gonna do, kill him? That shit's stupid.
it is stupid. And so, well, welcome everyone. We were just watching a video. I think what I might do, this about 6 people watching now. I will play the video again so people can see. So we are talking about the non-existence of God. We don't believe in God. And why does anyone believe in a God they can't see? Why does anyone believe in a God they can't touch? They can't hear, they can't feel. I mean, why believe in a nothingness? It makes no sense. So this video, we just listened to it or we just watched it, but let's watch it again. It's only 4 minutes long, and so it's not a very long video, but it is about somebody trying to convince people that someone says God is a scam and how they received Jesus into their heart. That's some ridiculous nonsense. But hey, let's see. And then we might put the link out if anyone would like to come and have a conversation with us, if we'd like to debate or whatever. Reggie, are you feeling like doing that?
We can.
Okay.
Can you imagine that some people believe God is a scam? One such person is Bradley, and he's a staunch atheist. For him, God is a scam. But he didn't always start that way. For him, his family were very strong Christians. They went to church, they read the Bible, they believed in God. Until one day, Bradley's father passed away. Of course, Bradley was very angry with God because how? And the following year, his mother passed away. At this point, Bradley is taken in by his uncle Ronnie. And finally, Bradley thinks he catches a break until 2 years later, Uncle Ronnie too has. Bradley says, I have prayed for each of my family members and they've all God is a scam. I do not believe in him anymore. He leaves God behind and carries on with his life. He eventually finds love, gets married, bounce baby boy. At this point, Bradley feels like his life is finally set. All his things are in order. When 2 years down the line, they realize that Bradley's son is not walking and talking and acting the way every normal 2-year-old boy is. So they take him to the hospital, take him to the doctors, and they're told that he has spinal tethering, which is a very rare condition, usually only found in adults. This baby boy who's not even started his life has it. Unfortunately, spinal tethering means that the muscles in his arms and legs are weakening and eventually he'll be completely confined to a wheelchair. Bradley says he will find a solution for his son because this cannot be the life planned for this innocent child. So they arrange to go to the hospital and get tests done by the doctors. On their way there, Bradley is in the car and something's playing on the radio. It's a preacher, and he says something very interesting. What you do to the least of these, you do to me. Bradley recognizes that as scripture. He says, you know what? For the first time in 20 years, he's going to pray. He said, God, please help me, help my son, save him. That's all. That's all I ask. If you really are real, save my son. He gets to the hospital, and as he sits in the parking lot, something in him tells him to speak to the homeless person, give him money, and ask the homeless person to pray for him. Bradley sees the homeless person and says, "Nah, I can't just have thoughts and feelings giving me instructions." As he prepares to walk past the homeless person, he's going, and he hears somebody calling him, sir, in the background. He turns around, and it is indeed that homeless person. Obviously, Bradley's like, what could you possibly want with me? He says, "I don't want your trouble. I just wanted to tell you, you dropped your wallet. That's all." Bradley is shocked and goes, "You know what? If you could please pray for me." Homeless guy looks at him and says, "Pray for you? For what? You are a rich man. Everything's going well in your life. Why do you need me prayers?"
I don't hear you, Afro. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. So wait, your God wants you to look for a homeless man on the street, kneel before him, and ask him to pray for you. For what? For what reason?
I don't understand it.
For what reason? Why? What is this?
She's pretty, but why is it so light around her eyes compared to the rest of her face?
Reggie, you're busy minding something that isn't even important. Oh
I'm just
man.
saying.
So, people, there's 5 of you watching. I've put the link there if anyone would like to talk, if you would like to ask questions, why we are atheists or why we don't believe in God and all that good stuff. Hit the link and come up. Come and talk to us. But in the meantime, we will just be having a conversation about the non-existence of God. Right. Okay. Let's continue with this.
For. He says, "My son is sick." The homeless guy looks at him and goes, "Is it a spinal issue?" Obviously. "Who is this person and what does he know?" Bradley goes, "Yeah." The homeless man says, "You know what? I'll pray for you." So in that moment, he prays for Bradley and his son. And then he tells him, "Be on your way." Bradley says, "Oh, please, take something. I mean, you're homeless and impoverished. Let me give you something." The homeless guy says, No, I don't want your money. But when you get home, please look up Matthew 25, verse 40. That's odd. Bradley says, "You know what? Let me carry on and see." But he stops and turns around, wanting to thank the homeless man, and realizes he has vanished. He's gone. No trace.
So the homeless man is an angel or what? Huh?
I guess that's the impression they're trying to make, but I don't believe it.
I
I don't
don't
believe none
believe
of
it.
it.
This is bull crap.
Right.
This is rubbish. It just that makes no sense.
Of him. Obviously, still confused and perplexed, Bradley goes to hospital, wanting to talk to the doctors who are doing tests on his son. He gets there, and his son, who's normally very tired, exhausted, crying, in pain, is perfectly fine. He's walking up and down, talking to people, laughing, excited. And Bradley looks at doctors and say, "Oh, what's going on? What did you guys give him?" Doctors honestly tell him, "Look, we did nothing. We have no hand in this. Even if we gave him something to feel better, it wouldn't be like this. He's basically healed. There's nothing wrong with him." Bradley's overjoyed. His son has been healed. His son has been saved. He heads home. As he gets home, he remembers that the homeless guy who prayed for him told him to look for one thing. Open the Bible and find Matthew 25, verse 40. And when he does, it says, "Assuredly, I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me." And Bradley reads it and realizes it's the exact same message that he heard that very morning from the pastor on the radio. At that moment, Bradley decides, you know what? God is real and he has performed this miracle for me. I have no other choice but to respect him and acknowledge him and follow his path. From that day forward, Bradley becomes an advocate for the ministry. So, are you reading your Bible? And what are you praying to God for? That's all we got for you guys. Catch us in another episode. Don't forget to read more at nanasempa.com, and I'll see you next time.
So I'm actually glad that you played that twice because I didn't catch every piece of it. I think the combination of both times I probably caught all of it, but that shit does not make no sense at
It
all.
doesn't.
It doesn't make any sense. So basically, this is what she said. So a crackhead told you to read a verse in a book. A crackhead, right? And just because your preacher said that shit too, at one point. The book is only so big. Preachers only read certain parts of the book because they don't want you to know certain things in it. That's another story. But just because a crackhead told you a Bible verse, then a preacher told you a week before, that's a miracle.
Mm.
E-
Mm.
even if your even if your kid all of a sudden became healed, which it's not possible if you're talking about a spinal cord situation. That almost sounds like that shit that Jerry Easy be talking about with that cerebral palsy shit.
Yes.
It almost it's along those lines, right? It's as far almost as far fetched, almost. That don't have nothing to do with nothing. Just because you seen a damn fiend in the street and told you to read a book, that shit's stupid.
Okay. So next thing we're going to listen to is somebody who went to heaven, right?
A code and they come running in. I was above my body. I could they called a code and they come running in. I was above my body. I
Let,
could see them doing chest compressions. I could see them, all the nurses.
sorry, I just wanted to quickly address the comment by Miss Masani. If praying works, my brother would still be here, and I'd be skinny and filthy rich. I'm so sorry for your loss, Miss
Sorry.
Masani. Whilst I watched his only sibling die of cancer, I was struck by how much praying was going on, and me knowing all that shit was in vain. I kept my mouth. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry too, and I'm sorry for laughing. I was only laughing about the last part. I'd be skinny and rich. I'm sure
Mm.
that's funny, but I feel you, Miss Masani. To your point, um, even though I've been an atheist for more than a year, going on 2 years, my mom recently passed. I ain't perfect, and I try to be as honest with people as I can. I said, literally, well, God, if you real, it's time for you to show out. He didn't do shit. He didn't do shit.
Reggie, how have you been an atheist for 1 year?
I
How
said
is
a
that
little,
possible?
almost 2 years.
But how is that possible?
Um,
The reason why I'm asking this question is you you sound like someone who's been an atheist for a very long time. So what that means to me is even as a believer, you must have been skeptical. You must have
mhm.
been this did not come just to you nearly 2 years ago. This
No.
was something that has been there. It must have been nagging away at you,
Hmm.
right? Things
Yes,
weren't making sense to you. That's what I see anyway.
it's true. Listen, when you start deconstructing, you don't know.
Yeah.
The whole time, you don't know. You don't know until you look back at the situation like, I knew the whole fucking time. The gig is up. It's kind of like when you found out Santa Claus wasn't real. You knew, you knew, but you just couldn't prove it, right? You just didn't see it. So, at one point I was very religious. It was kind of a crutch.
I would have
Um,
loved, love to see you in your religious days, Reggie. I would pay money to see that.
um, I was jail
I would
religious.
pay money to see the religious Reggie. I
I
would
was,
pay money to
I
see it.
was, I was jail religious.
What do you
I've
mean
told you.
jail religious? What does that mean?
Do we want to go there? Because
Okay, I don't know what jail religious means. You don't have to
Okay,
go there.
okay.
But what is jail religious?
I'm
I
gonna
heard
talk
of
to you. I'm
yeah.
gonna tell y'all something personal about me.
Oh, sugar.
Oh
You sure
man,
you want to do it?
this is rough right here.
You sure you want to do it?
Oh man,
You
this
don't
is
have
rough right
to.
here.
You don't
This is
have
rough
to.
right here. This is rough.
Nobody's saying you
I'm only
must.
gonna tell. I'm only gonna tell y'all part of the story because
Okay.
if I start this story in UK time, it'll probably be about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning by the time I'm done. So when I tell you that I was jail religious, I never been to prison. I've been to the county jail, but I've been in there under some very, very extreme conditions. What's up to you? under some very extreme conditions. Okay, so at one point in my life, I got involved in some shit that I should not have got involved with. And usually I'm quick with the tongue. Usually I would already just spit it out. But this is a difficult situation because most of you people that's watching this, you don't know me, right? And this is very personal. I faced going to prison for life before for murder. True story. I didn't kill nobody. I don't have the heart to kill nobody. I'm not like that. But it doesn't take that. All you have to do is just be at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person. That's all it takes, right? And if they can correlate a story with you knowing something about it, what's going on, you're gonna catch that murder case too. And I did. Um, I didn't have no lawyer money. Um, I didn't have shit. I didn't have nothing. All I had was a bunch of people telling me that I need to take a deal because if not, you're gonna get life. Because the way the law works in my state, if you are found guilty after being offered deals, they have no choice but give you the maximum amount. And in my case, it would have been 38 years to life with a gun spec on top of that. So about 40, well, yeah, about 41 years to life in prison. All because I chose to associate myself with somebody that my mom told me I shouldn't have. And they did some shit in front of me that I told them not to do. Literally, I told them not to do it. They chose to do it. That was on them. But pretty much that made me become very, very religious because again, I didn't have any lawyer money or anything like that. Um, Shout out to David Beatrice for saving my life. Google him. This is a true story. Um, Pretty much with no lawyer money, with a court-appointed lawyer. Um, I prayed, fast, all that shit. You know, while simultaneously reading the law books because they offer law books in jail. People don't take advantage of that. But if you ever get yourself in a legal situation, you really need to know the terms to the law, the sentence guidelines. You need to know all that shit because that's kind of what saved me, for me knowing exactly how the laws are written. They have the older editions and the new editions. But without a lawyer, against my mom's advice, against my lawyer's advice, literally, I beat a murder case. True story. And that made me become very religious because all I did was pray, fast, read Bible scriptures that people told me, not the ones I know now, and things like that. So at one point in my life, I really was a believer. I can even tell you a story where after that time when I was free, that I literally got into an argument with my grandfather, who's gone now, about God being real. And I thought that I knew exactly what I was talking about because God saved me or whatever. And he didn't know what he was talking about because he's from the South and he grew up in an era where you went to school until you was old enough to work. So that could be any time, you over 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, some shit like that. You going to work. So he wasn't the most educated book wise person that I knew, but what he said to me when I'm bringing the situation up, he was 100% right and illiterate at the same time. One of the smartest people I ever met in my life. Now that I think about it, because he was dead on, and I remember getting so pissed because he was telling me that God and Jesus wasn't real. And now that I look back at it, it's hilarious because I know how mad I was getting when he was saying that shit, and it's just ridiculous now. And that whole murder case shit, that was all me. That was my hard headed self, not listening to what my mom told me, not listening to what my lawyer told me, not believing in myself and doing what the fuck I had to do. I wasn't gonna take no deal and go to prison for some shit I didn't do. So I'm hard headed, and I'm here to talk about it. The end.
Wow. So you were religious because of the circumstances you found
Because
yourself.
mm-hmm. Yep. And I remember, oh God, I ain't gonna never smoke again when I get out. Hold on, where my real life? I ain't gonna drink no more. I ain't gonna do this. I'm gonna change my life. I'm gonna do all this shit. This was way no way. Listen, that shit probably lasted about 2 months.
Days. Oh, months.
About 2 months.
Uh,
It was right back
oh,
doing the same shit, going hard again. But
of
that's
course,
another story.
of course, of
I
course.
changed when I got older, but not because of that.
Guys, I've put the link out, and I'm going to put the link in the chat. If anyone, you don't have to show your face. You can just be faceless. You want to have a conversation with us? Absolutely. Hit on the link, and we will bring you up. Yeah, this is it's interesting because listening to that, Reggie, and I just think that you you would have known from a very well longer than you actually think. I don't think it's a less than 2 year thing. It sounds like you've been an atheist longer, way longer. Maybe
Hmm.
not an atheist. Maybe you were questioning, agnostic, just somewhere in that space before.
Yeah, yeah. I always had like questions and doubt. And Tia, I seen your comment. Okay, I'll give you the whole story on your thing. It's a long story. It's gonna take longer than a half hour, Tia. It's very good though. But
Make sure you let me know when it's taking place so I can come and listen to it.
this is a crazy story. A crazy story. Um, but yeah, you're right. Once I started learning more and more things, that's when it turned me. The first thing that I really can pinpoint on is learning the real situation in Palestine and Israel. I started always hearing mentions like the Palestinians were there first. I'm like, how is that possible? Then I really started thinking, won't it make more sense for a person that's an Arab to be from there?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, so they probably were. And then once I started learning more and more and more and more and more about it, that just made me start questioning it more and more and more. On top of the supernatural stories, uh, being swallowed by a whale for 3 days, coming back out, the Noah's Ark story. Um, Truthfully, at one point, I did believe that they found Noah's Ark. Now that I look back at it, if that was Noah's Ark, let's say it was, it's still super duper impossible. If you just look at Australia, polar bears, but you can go so many different angles with that. I just was completely irrational, making excuses for it. Uh, Virgin Mary, making excuses for that. Um, but what really started turning the wheel to atheism is because, for one thing, when I tell you I've only been an atheist for a year and a half, that's when I finally came to terms with it.
With being an
Like,
atheist,
yeah,
right?
like this is complete bullshit. But what really started turning the wheels is when I found out about Pope Eugenius. When I found out about
Mm,
him and who he
mm,
was and
mm,
what he
mm,
said and what he
mm,
did,
mm, mm,
I'm like, well, even if this shit is true, let's say it's all true.
mm,
Nah, because the black started kicking in. I
mm.
started thinking, which side you on, bro? You on their side or you on your people's side? Oh, that's an easy decision. That's what you think about us? You think we're
Let
soulless
me
monkeys?
see.
That's what you think? So no, I don't want to be around these people. And then once I started thinking like, well, no matter what you do, as long as you ask God for forgiveness, you're still going to heaven. So then I started thinking, do I want to associate myself with these people? Then I started thinking about back to my grandfather. He's an atheist. If heaven is real, he's in hell. My father, now that I'm thinking about it, he was raised by him. My father was never into church. He just would, certain females he would date if they went to church, and sometimes he would go with them and make me go. So then I started thinking how miserable he probably really was, because deep down inside he didn't believe it. And then I started thinking about when he was dying, and church people would come in. I'm not gonna name none of these people, but if I did, Tia, you definitely would know who they are. I started thinking about how he was feeling like when they was coming in, just telling him bullshit when he know he died from cancer, right? And then I started thinking about my brother, rest in peace to him. He was a part of the LGBTQ community, right? So if the Bible is real, he's in hell, right? So then I started thinking about other family members and the type people they were. I still loved them. Some of them was, kind of scandalous and shit like that. So by rule, oh yeah, they had kids out of wedlock and shit like that. They in hell. So then I started thinking, I'd rather go to hell. I would rather go to hell. My folks is in hell. On top of all the stuff that I just told you. And then like the devil is black, all the angels is white. I'm like, ain't nobody from China going? Ain't nobody from India going? Who's left? The people who invented that shit. That's the only people that's going. Then I started thinking, okay, what language was this shit written in? Then I found out probably, like, I'm 42 now, I probably found out when I was 39 or 40 that this shit was written in Greek. I'm like, Greek? Then I started thinking about Sierra Leone, uh, where all the slaves started was coming from. That I know that are on this side of the world, that have evolved to Black Americans, Caribbeans. I started learning about how long it took them to get there from Africa. I started seeing the churches in Ghana that got the dungeons up under them. Then I learned that the first two slaves they would put on the ship would be Adam and Eve. So I'm like, all right, well, they trying to make the shit in Israel be true. Then I found out that at one point they was gonna put it in Africa, but they didn't because they were scared of the lions. And I heard they was gonna put it in Mongolia. I'm like, they making this shit true. And then I knew that the Jewish people that are there came from the Holocaust. So I'm like, so you put them there, you're making that shit be true. The slaves come from here. We can't be no relation to these people. We learned it from here. They say we soulless monkeys. It's written in Greek. It's written in Hebrew. It's written in Aramaic. Do anybody from the western coast of Africa speak them languages? Fuck no. No. What's the Bible that came your way? The King James Version. Then I learned who King James was. But I started learning derogatory things about him before I found out who he really, really was. Even though those derogatory things are true, I found out that he was a part of the LGBTQ community, which I don't have a problem with. But how can this person be a part of this if God despises this and he got his own book?
Right.
I'm like, what the fuck? This don't none of this shit make no sense. I'm like, it don't make no sense. And then Islam, I knew that was some bull. I knew. I'm like, that don't make no sense. So you mean to tell me he cracked the moon in half? He flew to heaven on a donkey? And then I found out the racism in that. Then I found out about the curse of Ham, both sides. Then I found out how they both helped each other with the slave trades, the Atlantic and the Islamic slave trade. I'm like, man, they look at us like slaves. We ain't shit to these motherfuckers. Nothing. And they not hiding it. I'm like, all you gotta do is look at the text to say it. And then I found out all these contradictions. I found out about King David, and I always grew up looking up to King David in high regard. I'm like, he's is a fucked up individual. He stick his dick in anything. Male, female, he out here collecting foreskins and shit. I'm like, this shit is weird as fuck. I'm like, oh my god. Th- I'm like, don't none of this belong to no black people. I'm like, I don't want nothing to do with this. And then I started thinking about how heaven really is. I'm lactose intolerant. Fuck, I'm gonna do with some milk.
No,
Go.
but Reggie, I keep hearing you saying about heaven being a place to go and drink milk. Is it really in the Bible?
It is milk and honey.
Wait, hold on. Let's see.
Yeah.
Wait,
And
milk and
gold. The streets of gold and
wait,
shit.
wait, milk
Fuck,
and honey.
who wants that?
Honey in guys, I put the link out there if anybody wants to come up.
I'm like, this shit.
And
I'm like, this shit is all bullshit. I'm like, everything about it is all complete fucking bullshit. I'm like, none of it correlates. None of it makes any fucking sense. I'm like, this don't sound like nothing interesting to me. And then on top of the fact that the bottom line is no matter what you do, as long as you say, God forgive me, right before you die, you cool. I'm like, no.
uh,
Why not just be a good person?
wait, let's
Why
see.
not?
What verse? I'm trying to find the verse where it says um the Bible verse. Let's see. What's the Bible? Numbers 14:8. With milk and honey, if the Lord is pleased with us, He will lead us into. Hmm, I don't know if that's the verse. Let's share my screen. So this is Numbers 14:8. Talks about if the Lord is pleased with us, He will lead us into that land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and will give it to us. Is that heaven? Is that heaven that's been
I don't know. Either way, I don't want that shit. Either motherfucking way. And I'm doing the same thing you're doing. I see Exodus, Numbers, well, two Exodus verses in Numbers, but it says the phrase "land of milk and honey" appears 22 times in the Bible in reference to promised land. It represents an
Mhm.
abundance of all foods from the everyday to the divine. The phrase "land of milk and honey" also become a proverb to describe a place where there is plenty of food and money and life is easy.
Right?
Either way, I'm cool. Fuck that.
Reggie, heaven. This is heaven. Wait, where does it say anything about walking on gold? This is why did they come up with all that stuff? Uh,
Mhm.
heaven made of gold. Where did they get all that shit from? I mean, yes, according to the Bible, the streets of heaven are paved with gold. Revelation 21:21 describes the streets of the New Jerusalem as being pure gold, like transparent glass. The 12 gates of the New Jerusalem are described as being made of a single pearl each. The image of pearly gates is often used to describe the entrance to heaven. The Bible uses physical terms to describe heaven, which is a spiritual place that is beyond our understanding. The gold in heaven is not the same physical gold we see on earth, but rather it is described as being like clear, see through glass.
That shit's stupid.
So, why do they tell people that the streets will be made of gold? And I mean, I get it, but that's John's delusions right there, the book of Revelations. Those are John's delusions. And why should
But why
I
I
don't
gotta wait
know?
till I get there? Gold is at an all-time high down here. I can take that shit and cash it in. Fuck him. I don't want it when I'm dead.
I mean, it makes no sense. The whole heaven thing. And for some people, this is all that it's all about. They want to go to heaven to go and be with Sky Daddy up there.
For no
But what
reason.
makes you think you have the right Sky Daddy? What makes you think you've got the right God? And if you have the right God, what makes you think that you believe in a version of that God? What makes you think that?
I gotta disagree with you, Miss Masani. Don't put that shit on weed. Don't put that on weed. I'm smoking weed.
Mr. Tony was busy asking if there's going to be weed in heaven. Hmm?
No, no, no. She's saying that whoever wrote that shit must have been smoking weed. Nah, don't put that on weed.
No, no, no. I'm saying the other stream that we just finished. Miss Mazani was asking if there's going to be weed in heaven, I think if they're
Mhm.
going to be weed in heaven, heaven might just be an option for Miss Masani.
Well, if it is some weed in heaven, that's cool, long as that shit free. But I need mine now. But he God couldn't give us streets of gold or milk and honey now. Also, those in heaven are looking into hell, being tortured day and night, seeing their loved ones, and they're okay with that. Exactly. That's what I said to you. My family members that I was closest with, I know for sure, by rule of the book, they in hell. Send me with them.
You put something in there.
Ain't likely gonna be in heaven, kumbaya
Yeah.
anyway. Kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. Fuck all that. Then I gotta still worship him. I gotta go to church all day, every day.
All
Mm-mm.
day, every day, going to worship God. At least here we get to, do things. We get to go out. We get to go. There, all you're going to be doing is just bowing down to the. Oh, no. Mm-mm, mm-mm.
You know what I want to hear? I want to hear what loophole um women use that to get in heaven. What loophole do you think that you can use to get in there?
Oh no, I've heard them say, um, uh, if so, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, whosoever believes in Him will not perish. Whosoever believes in Him will not perish but have eternal life.
Shout out to Kasai. I can see your comments on Facebook. Listen, let me tell you something about Kasai. Uh, I don't know him real good, but I know his family real good. Right? I know his mom is a preacher. Right? I know that
Mhm.
for a fact. I wonder. I always want to know, Kasai, how was that uh growing up? Because I know that you don't believe, and I know you don't believe because of your intelligence. I
Oh
know you're
wow.
very smart. So I wonder how that was growing up, knowing that it's not true. I
Mm.
wonder how that is. If you could hear me, send another comment because
Oh wow.
if you
Wow.
want, you can come up here too. Tia, if you want to come on, you can come on too.
Yes, anyone who wants to come on, I'll put the link there again. And this is just a chilled stream. It's nothing. I mean, it's just a chilled stream.
I got a debate coming up, y'all. I've been challenged by a Nigerian preacher. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna give you his information right now. Shout out to him. Hopefully, if I shout him out enough times, he'll actually take me up on his offer. This is his offer, not mine, because I don't know him. He just decided to start inboxing me one day, and I really don't want him to back out. I'm gonna put it on here and on every platform for the world to see. His name is Ibrahim Bala. He's from um he's from Nigeria. His let me see, I'm gonna shout him out real quick. Center of Holiness and World in the Word. I
Oh
don't know.
no.
It's something international. He don't got his screen crop right for me to shout out his church over there in Nigeria. But if you can hear me, I'll definitely take you up on your offer. Feel free to challenge me whenever you want. Please do.
I
I
look
look
forward
forward
to
to
this
it.
one myself.
I look
I look
forward to
forward
it.
to this debate. Mm-mm,
I
mm-mm-mm.
can't wait. I can't wait, bro. Come on up.
Wait, what happened to the other guy who was challenging you?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. I told him yes. I told him yes, but I
What
don't know.
happened? It was just he was wanting to debate with you, wanting to debate with me. He was just what the hell was this
I
problem?
don't know. I don't know. He's calls himself the Reconstructionist.
Reconstructionist.
I don't know what happened to him,
I wonder what he's reconstructing.
but I'm working on Ibrahim right now. So come on up, Ibrahim. Come on up. Feel free. Maybe if I start engaging a little bit more on
I
TikTok,
might if I'm a betting person, right? If I'm to place a bet, Ibrahim is not debating you.
he's not gonna do it. I know he's not because I
Ibrahim
could.
is not going to debate you, Reggie.
I know he's not.
Listen, Reggie, most of the believers that come in our spaces, Reggie, because this is something I've been trying to figure out myself. Why? Why would you put yourself through that kind of torture to come and hear people about the things that you believe, right? So for me, it's either they know it's all BS, or two, it's a way to try and validate their delusions. They want to come and hear things that makes them think, okay, no, I'm better off believing in God than believing in no. It has to be something. Because why? Why would you come to atheist spaces? We are the minority. So if we are the minority, how do we have such an impact on you? How?
You know what? I asked myself this question, and I'm bipolar with it. I just was thinking about it as you was talking. About 2 days ago, I think I was talking to you, or maybe three, and I was saying, I was like, I don't understand why people that are preachers and stuff or whatever will come to one of us and then start trying to debate with us, because honestly, they don't benefit even if they win it. Like, okay, so the guy that's challenging me, say for instance, if he makes me look completely stupid, what the fuck do you get? There's no benefit to you per se. The only thing that can happen is something bad. But then I turned around and we were talking about it again yesterday, but just in a different way, just worded a different way. And I felt different about it. I felt like, well, they're doing this shit because um it's kind of like a person that has something to hide. You know, I've heard stories people have shared with me about, that are in the LGBTQ community. They have shared with me stories about, a lot of times when the person that would pick on them the most really, you know what I'm saying, liked them, and they would come to them or whatever. Even though this is slightly different, I think it's a little bit of that. I think that people that really come to argue with us and debate with us, I think deep down inside, whether if they want to admit it or not, they have doubt. They have serious doubt. So they figure like this is their way of coping with whatever part of it that they can't grasp. Because no matter what level you are with spirituality, I mean, excuse me, with Christianity, if we're speaking strictly on Christianity, there's doubt in it with you, because some parts of it don't make sense to you. I don't give a fuck what you say. There's
Mm-hmm.
some parts that you cannot, your mind is not going to just be like, oh yeah, that's right. There's some parts on it you gonna question.
Yeah.
So I think that's their way of giving themselves reassurance, and confirming their belief, and it's by coming to try to take out their problems with us. And what kills me is that they think that they're being attacked. Nobody invited you. You came here at your own free will. You pushed that button to come up here on this
How
thing
do you
to argue
how
with
do
me.
you, how do you come to your own attack first? How
Yeah.
do you make your way to your place where you are being attacked?
And all
Makes
you
no
got to do is
sense.
push exit. The door right
Exactly.
there. So I don't understand. It's craziness, because when I was a believer, there's no way I would have actively went out to spaces where I know that my religion was going to be ridiculed.
Same here. Same
No
here. I would
way.
not. No,
No
it
way.
would not touch me. Mm-mm.
No way.
Because
I'm
I
not.
knew I would fail. I, I will fail. I would. There's no way I would win a debate like that. It's just no way.
That's not.
So I wouldn't
That's.
even.
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
That's not why I wouldn't have went. I wouldn't have did it because I wouldn't have wanted to get mad at your ass. Like, I got this cousin, right? And this is when I was still jail religious, right? And he was in there with me and shit.
Ready. I need to do something. So I'm going to log in with my phone. Right. So
Okay. I got
Reggie, what's your deconstruction story? He just shared his deconstruction story.
no.
He just went into detail. Or you want to do that again? Or
No, that was my jail religious stuff, but
Oh, that was in jail, really? Okay. I mean,
I
if
share
you
some
want
of
to
it.
share that, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I share some of that. But my point though was I had this cousin and he's a Muslim. And this is when I was a Christian. I really didn't like debating with him and arguing with him about it because I was feeling disrespected, like, you know what I'm saying? But he would be the one bringing it to me. So I could kind of understand like why some of them will get upset, but at the same time, you're coming to debate with us. You're coming to argue with me. So if that's what you want to do, that's on you. Um, GMS. I think that it was a gradual thing. Again, no matter how much of a believer you are, there is doubt. That's why you say believe because you don't necessarily know. So again, there's always been like parts of it that I couldn't I couldn't hold on to. That didn't make sense. Um Once I started learning about the true story of Israel, um Palestine, I started it. When I learned who Pope Eugene was the fourth, what he did, what he said, what he thought about negros, blacks, as they call us. That's why they call us black people, still to this day. Um, it's a no for me. Um, I don't want nothing to do with no religion that thinks about me like that, especially when I know that I'm older than you. How can you tell me about God when I was on this earth before you? Fools, the Bible says a fool says in his heart that there is no God. So who is a fool? Someone who says there is no God. A fool thinks that you can say something with your heart. A fool thinks that you can love somebody in your heart. Your heart is only made for one thing, and that is pumping blood through your veins. So what are you talking about? A fool thinks God said anything. The smart person knows that a man wrote that fucking book. Dummy. Wake up. We are not Christians, but sons of God. No, I'm a son of Reggie and Gaither. That's it. No God. I worship nothing but the almighty dollar. Period. But so once I found out GMS about Pope Eugenius, and I found out it was a true story, I found out that's how slavery began. I started thinking about the languages the Bible was written in. I learned it was written in Greek, Hebrew, Aramaic. Uh, been known that Africans were the first people on Earth. Um, realized that those aren't African languages. Knew for sure that the only way my ethnic group knows anything about Christianity or Islam or any Abrahamic religion is through colonization, slavery. Slaves obey your earthly masters as you would God. Doesn't make sense. None of it. And if you think about, well, God created the devil, right? He created Lucifer. He's all knowing. He knows everything, right? He knows everything before it happens, right? Why would you do that? You knew he was going to do that. That's your op. And you want me as the human being to fight a supernatural being. And you created him? Fuck you. That's your beef. You do it. I didn't ask you to do anything. If you feel that God's only begotten son gave his life for me, he was stupid. I didn't ask him to do shit. That's no different than the fucking mafia coming to your business talking about you need us for your protection. No, you're extorting me. So your God means nothing to me. I don't want to go to heaven with you Ben Brian Bang. That sounds like a pedophile name. Sounds like what we say, church here. The only thing they ever do is ask for your money and try to stick a dick in you. That's how you sound to me. Uh,
Can you hear me okay?
absolutely.
Okay. You know what sometimes I wonder is, so they tell us that Jesus came to save us, right? He came to save us from what exactly? What did Jesus come to save us from? Right? This is the
Right.
question, right? So Jesus came to save us from what he's going to do to us. Jesus and his father, they prepared this place of torture. I mean, Reggie, does it make sense? Now, just please listen to this. So Jesus and his father prepared the place of eternal torture and torment. And so his daddy says, okay, so we can have roommates here with us. We can have some people some humans sharing our eternal space with us. Because the rules are such that nobody will make it here. So Jesus, do you think you can go down? Go and be this sacrifice to me. Or otherwise, we will have no choice but to burn all of them in that fire. And Jesus says, now that's a good idea, Daddy. Let's do this. Right? And Jesus decides, okay, yeah, I'm doing this to save them, Daddy. Right? And Jesus comes to the earth knowing that this is this is planned between himself and his daddy. Right? Listen, that's not a sacrifice. All that time, Jesus was connected to his daddy. All that time, Jesus was, what's the word I'm trying to find? This is what they tell us, Reggie. He was God as well as human. If Jesus was God walking on the earth, then I'm sorry, he had powers. Jesus had supernatural powers. So, no, Jesus did not give up anything, he did not sacrifice anything. It's
He sure
just
did.
nonsense. So Jesus came to save us from what himself and his daddy are going to do to us. I don't
Right.
respect that. No, I don't
My,
respect that. I
my dad
don't
gonna get
respect
you.
that. I don't respect that.
Give me 10% of your money, or my dad gonna get you. You gonna burn.
No. So sin. Now, I'm not a sinner. I was never a sinner, and I will never be a sinner. And anything, any religion that tells me, my loved one, or my people, that we are sinners because two people ate a fruit in the garden. No, fuck that. Fuck that. I'm not, no, I don't play those games with you. The people who ate the fruit, I don't know them from anywhere. So why should I be taking on their sins? In fact, they didn't even sin. Adam and Eve did not sin. Since when did eating a fruit constitute a sin?
Especially if you're telling us to exercise the fruit of the spirit. Which one is it, motherfucker?
No, and especially when the same God says you should forgive 70 times, 70 times. But look at him; he can't forgive.
Right. Off of one
Right?
trick
I'm,
ass
I'm
apple.
going to I'm going to mute myself for a minute, Reggie. You just carry on with the people.
It sounds like you're taking a shower, truthfully.
Who me?
Yeah, you.
There's listen. Never mind. I'm not taking a shower.
Came to save us from his father's failures and sin of his failures or sin since they are supposedly one of the same. I know, right? He the one fucking up, right? First you flood the whole earth, right? Because you mad because you didn't fucked up, right? Because everybody won't kiss your ass, right? So then you repopulate the same people again. You commit all this incest again, right? Make all these retarded motherfucking kids, right? And the sin is not about the fruits. Listen, you know what Christians do better than anybody else? They just butcher the English language. They just use a word for whatever the fuck they want to. Fruits don't got nothing to do with the way that y'all be using that shit. Y'all just butcher the language talking about we different yolks. Man, I ain't no motherfucking egg. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Y'all don't be talking about nothing. And you think that a person is just supposed to just understand it just because that's the way that you put terms. That don't even shit don't even make no fucking sense, right? And then you try to threaten a person with hell. I just don't understand. No one cares about your hell. It's not real. That concept was not even created until Jesus was existed, right? Till he was created, right? So literally, the only thing Jesus did for you or any person is give you the opportunity to go to hell. Jewish people don't believe in no fucking hell, no devil. Don't believe in no shit like that. Y'all just taking their religion, hijacking it, remixing it, adding some new shit to it that don't even got nothing to do with it. What brought sin was not fruits, but the rejection of the gospel. The gospels are fake. The gospels are fake. None of them are first-hand accounts. Jesus ass ain't right shit. And nobody that wrote nothing about him actually ever met him in real life. So sin was around before the gospel was around. So you're not even making no sense, Ben Brian Hung. And especially if you're considering the fact that Adam sinned against God. You don't even know what you're talking about. That's why I don't really like debating with Christians because most of y'all don't even know. Exactly. Adam and Eve didn't even know the gospel. Exactly, Tia. He don't even I don't even know why I'm debating with him or arguing with him. He don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. Next thing you know, he gonna try to say that Jesus always been. But I bet you won't bring your ass up here though. All the gospels are anonymous. Exactly. They have no real authors to them shits. Nobody knows who wrote shit. They all contradict themselves. Nobody know who wrote them, and the writers never fucking met him. Makes no sense. That Pontius Pilate shit, cap, never met him. Tacitus or however the fuck he says his name is, never met him. Cap. Paul never met him. Cap, cap, cap. Luke never met him. Cap. Make no sense. You don't believe anything that a person tell y'all. That's why we call you sheep, even though we don't have to, because y'all consider yourselves lambs of God, which is the dumbest farm animal that there is.
I'm sorry, Reggie. No, their book calls them sheep.
That's what I said.
That's not us. That's their book. Their book calls them sheep. And you see, listen, Reggie, they're proud to own their sheephood. Is it sheephood? You hear that? I am a sheep of Christ.
Right.
I'm a slave of Christ. I, Paul, I am a slave. No, 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 not
Ben
slave
Brian.
of anything.
Right. Listen. We didn't did well. I'm saying we African Americans then did 400 years of slavery. I ain't serving shit. My forefathers then did all the serving for you. They not. I'm not doing it. I'm not serving nothing. I bow down to no man, no entity, nothing. Mm-mm. I ain't about to be bent over my booty in there, praying and begging and shit. Not when I know how to work and hustle at the same time. Fuck no. Mm-mm. Don't make sense. Why does a living God rely on communication via a 2,000-year-old book? Exactly. That he didn't even wrote. Right. Hell is not a place. This is what you guys fail to understand. No, I fail to understand Jewish mythology because that's what the fuck it is, mixed with Greek mythology that stole this idea from Hinduism and other mythologies. Your Yahweh is a motherfucking myth, right? From the Canaanite pantheon. Dude got a dad, a mom, brothers and sisters, kids, bitches, baby moms, side chicks, all that shit. Shut your ass up. Elohim, cap, all of it, cap, 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 cap. Cap, 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 cap. Why does a living right? There was no gospel for Adam and Eve. They were forbidden from it. Remember exactly. And then the book says that it doesn't want you to eat from the tree of knowledge. Also, Christians are sheep, right? It's asking you to be stupid. The book is literally asking you to be stupid.
Reggie,
Think about it.
do you know what I just thought of?
What?
So when God was talking to the people, right? This God character was talking to people. Hey, Ian Davenport, thank you for the super chat.
Thank
When God was talking to the people, he would have told them his name, right?
you. Hmm.
God would have said to them, I am whoever the fuck he says his name was, right?
Hmm.
So if God told them his name, why then is he called God now?
England,
Huh?
English. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But I mean,
God would have
which
said to them, my name is so and so, whatever the hell his name is. So why then did they come along and call him God? God would not be his name, right?
I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, but I can't answer that question because God got so many damn names in that book, so many motherfucking names, and to the
Yeah,
point where
but God would not be one of them.
no, God wouldn't be one of them. So
God would
that's
not be one of the names, whatever he's called in the original text. It would not be God,
right because God is a title. It's not really a name.
right?
So, so that's a great question. I never really thought about it, but the answer is going to be because of English. I'm assuming. Um, I'm praying for you people for God to open your eyes of understanding. Brian Bing Bung. I mean, Ben Brian Bung. May Satan be with you always and forever. May he hold your hand. May he guide you into your eternal damnation. We give the name God. He did not give us that name, God. How do you know that? You can't prove that, Ben Brian Bung, unless you know the origins of the word. God is a title, just like Satan is a title, not a person. Yep, Shaitan, which means the adversary, right? The secret name of Yahweh doesn't even appear in the New Testament. That's correct. But Yahweh was a Canaanite demigod that through war became the supreme God, but he originated as a child of El Shaddai or Elohim, whichever you would like to call him, and Baal or Baal, however you would like to pronounce his name, and Anat are his siblings. He also was referred to and known as the bull god. I do have a whole stream about that. I think Tia, you were there. Um, yes, it's called the Canaanite Pantheon. Please check that out. Um, at Godless Reggie, YouTube / at Godless Reggie, capital G, capital L, capital R. I have a show called Faith, Lies, and Confusion that comes on every Sunday around church time. So you can always check it out. Tomorrow's episode is about the LDS, the Mormon Church, part 2. Last week we did a stream about it. It was very good. So good to the point where we want to do another one. And there's so much to Mormonism that most people don't know, including myself. So I'm very excited to do another review on it so I can learn more about it because it's crazy. Crazy, 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 crazy. Um, Matter of fact, I'm gonna show a cartoon of it right now, just so y'all can see. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it because Afro is away right now. I'm gonna try to
If
do it.
you give me, if you're not able to do it, just give me 1 minute. I will be by the laptop, okay?
Okay. And thank all y'all for sitting here talking to me. Um, Tia, appreciate you. Juwad, thank you definitely. Miss Masani, thank you. Even you, Ben Brian Bone. Keep talking to me. That's all I do is talk shit all day. So come on. uh,
I wish they would come up and have a conversation.
All right.
You don't have to turn your camera on. No, you can just come up and yeah. Have any questions? Ask your questions. Okay, just give me a minute. Let me just go by the
Okay.
laptop.
Okay. I'm pulling it up now. This is very interesting. Watch this cartoon. This is a shortened version. It actually, there's a 37-minute one, but that one's too long. This one is about 8 minutes. I showed this last week on the stream on Faith, Lies, and Confusion.
Reggie, you can speed it up. Let me come out this one.
And thanks again, Ian, again.
Originated most of these peculiar doctrines, which millions today believe to be true. By maintaining a rigid code of financial and moral requirements and through performing secret temple rituals for themselves and the dead, the Latter-day Saints hope to prove their worthiness and thus become gods. The Mormons teach that everyone must stand at the final judgment before Joseph Smith, the Mormon Jesus, and Elohim. Those Mormons who were sealed in the eternal marriage ceremony expect to become polygamous gods in the celestial kingdom,
Reggie, please
planets,
pause.
and spawn new families throughout eternity.
Reggie, please pause. Wait. Did they just say we are going to be standing in front of Joseph Smith on Judgment Day?
Oh, you know what? I made a mistake. For some reason, it got skipped. It got skipped all the way towards the end of the
37
video.
million in advertising based on a lie.
Hold on.
The claim that Brown voted to let transgender biological men participate in women's sports.
Did that video just say we are going to be standing in front of Joseph Smith?
And that was the end of the video. That's one of the ones I have from the thing. So let me start it over. That was
No,
way
I
at the
want
end.
to. No, Reggie, that bit that said we're standing in front of Joseph Smith. No.
Wait a minute. Listen, that's at like the 7-minute mark, and the video's only 8 minutes. You gotta watch it.
Oh no!
You gotta watch it.
Wait, Reggie. Click on that.
The basic tenets of Mormonism.
Click on that the settings, and give it a little bit of put the speed up a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, that one.
It's already on 120. It's on 125 now.
Okay, lovely. All right, go on.
Gods who once were human like us. They say that long ago on one of these planets, to an unidentified god and one of his goddess wives, a spirit child named Elohim was conceived. This spirit child was later born to human parents who gave him a physical body. Through obedience to Mormon teaching and death and resurrection, he proved himself worthy and was elevated to godhood as his father before him. Mormons believe that Elohim is their heavenly father and that he lives with his many goddess wives on a planet near a mysterious star called Kora. Here, the God of Mormonism and his wives, through endless celestial sex, produced billions of spirit children. To decide their destiny, the head of the Mormon gods called a great heavenly council meeting. Both of Elohim's eldest sons were there, Lucifer and his brother Jesus. A plan was presented to build planet Earth, where the spirit children would be sent to take on mortal bodies and learn good from evil. Lucifer stood and made his bid for becoming savior of this new world. Wanting the glory for himself, he planned to force everyone to become gods. Opposing the idea, the Mormon Jesus suggested giving man his freedom of choice, as on other planets. The vote that followed approved the proposal of the Mormon Jesus, who would become savior of the planet Earth. Enraged, Lucifer cunningly convinced 1/3 of the spirits destined for Earth to fight with him in revolt. Thus Lucifer became the devil and his followers the demons. Sent to this world, they would forever be denied bodies of flesh and bone. Those who remained neutral in the battle were cursed to be born with black skin. This is the Mormon explanation for the Negro race. The spirits that fought most valiantly against Lucifer would be born into Mormon families on planet Earth. These would be the lighter-skinned people, or white and delightsome, as the Book of Mormon describes them. Early Mormon prophets taught that Elohim and one of his goddess wives came to Earth as Adam and Eve to start the human race. Thousands of years later, Elohim, in human form once again, journeyed to Earth from the starbase Kolob, this time to have sex with the Virgin Mary, in order to provide Jesus with a physical body. After Jesus Christ grew to manhood, he took at least 3 wives, Mary, Martha, and Mary Magdalene. Through these wives, the Mormon Jesus, for whom Joseph Smith claimed direct descent, supposedly fathered a number of children before he was crucified. According to the Book of Mormon, after his resurrection, Jesus came to the Americas to preach to the Indians, who the Mormons believe are really Israelites. Thus, the Jesus of Mormonism established his church in the Americas as he had in Palestine.
This shit is fucking
This is
silly, man.
terrible. What the Indians are Israel? Oh, Rich. Oh my, Reggie. For me, it's that Elohim coming to Mary's door and
Right,
knocking on
knocking.
her door
The fuck he
to
got a
come
knock
and
for?
have sex with her, so he could give Jesus a physical body. Just that was supposed to be God coming down, knocking on Mary's door. Yeah, come, let me come spread your legs and let me put the baby to
This motherfucker being a gentleman knocking on the door. He fucking Elohim. He ain't knocking on shit. He just, can I have some? I'm here. I'm Elohim. We God.
No. He even walked to the house. He walked
Probably had his, probably had his
Come on.
dick in it. He probably had his dick in his hand and was pimp walking with the other hand. Like, yeah,
What
I'm
the
Elohim,
hell,
I'm
Reggie?
Elohim, bitch.
I mean, there's a lot can be said about that scenario. I mean, if you're walking with such confidence, so um he must be endowed. I don't know about well endowed, but endowed to some extent. So I'm curious how much, how big, how
So,
small.
so did they mention black people yet? I don't know what part in the
Yes,
video
they
they
did.
had.
They did. They said something about the ones who decided to go with Satan. They were the ones who were made the black people.
Uh huh. So anybody out there that's black, I don't know if because it's sped up a little bit. So I don't know if that part glanced over you. I'm sorry. I needed a coffee
You
refill.
can take it back. You can take it back very
I
quickly.
got a I got a I got a slight coffee addiction. I was getting itching a little bit. Needed some coffee, but yeah, that
Coffee.
it's pretty sad. One thing that I know that I repeatedly say to you, I'm so surprised um that Africans from the continent of Africa believe this shit too. Now, I can understand that us being over here, what's up, Dima? I can understand us
Thank
being
you, ma'am.
over here being completely confused, blinded, and things like that. And not having a sense of where we're coming from and really just not knowing. But it's just amazing that religions that were literally made here on this soil over here, they made their way back over there and they believe it.
Mm.
Especially like that. How can you believe that you got cursed and turned black? A
But
white man from over here told you that. You believe it.
Reggie, that's the power of indoctrination. So
Oh, that is
when
annoying.
you say you're surprised, right? You
Hmm.
must understand that this was a systemic. It was this plan. I don't know if they saw it ever getting to this point, but the idea that these people are barbaric, what they worship is evil, and so we've got to present our Jesus to them. We've got to tell them that they have to accept this guy. They went to communities. They went to people's, knocked on people's doors. They went, and over time, they went to communities where the adults that didn't accept them, they would go through the children. You see the schools. Anytime somebody says, "Oh, but they gave you schools and they gave you hospitals," those were
Apologist.
used to lure people into this religion. They were used to manipulate people, right? There's a book, and well, I wish I would get round to finishing the book. Oh no, it's not the book. No, it was an article that I read. It was online, and this person was an ex-missionary. He was saying that they had gone to this place, and the people rejected the Jesus. They laughed in their faces. The missionaries, they laughed in their faces. They said, "We don't harm our own children. So how are you saying that this man who's going to save us had his own child killed to himself? For what?" To them it was funny. What father would do that to you? So they
And it should
decided,
be.
hmm?
And it should be funny based off of how you're saying it.
Right? Hey, James Jefferson. They decide to go back and go and change tact. Okay, if that did not work the way we've presented the Jesus, maybe what we could do is we could, you know, do it a different way. So they started learning the language of the people, right? Befriending the children, teaching them different things, making themselves out to be friends. We are your friends. We are not here to harm you. We are not here to, just let us just, help you. So now the life expectancy of these people was quite, short. And so small ailments that would kill the people, right? Maybe they might fall ill of maybe, I don't know what disease, just something, you
Stupid
know,
shit.
that they didn't think they would recover from, right? And the king is ill. And the king is taken to this place, this white people say is a place of treatment. And within 3 days, they are thinking that the king will not make it. But once he is handed over to this white people, within 3 days, the king is back up and they're thinking, okay, there must be something, it's like magic to them. What are these people, doing in there? And so over time, it was it's a very devious plan, but that's how they were able to get these people believing this shit. So it is a surprise to you, Reggie. And now that I no longer believe, I just how did I once believe it, Reggie? How did I?
That's what
I
I
know,
think
I
too.
know, I didn't have a choice, but it's crazy.
Let me play the rest of this. I need to go grab something out my room real quick. It's only gonna take me 1 second. Oh, you know what? Let me go back.
By the year 420, they would forever be denied bodies of spirits destined for earth. The Mormon Jesus,
I
everyone to
think
become
it's going
gods,
a bit too
mortal
fast.
bodies, and learn
To be
good
fair,
from evil.
it's too fast.
Hmm?
It's too fast.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's too fast.
Sex produced billions of spirit
Go back, go
children
back, go back. This is really good,
to
Reggie.
decide
This
their
is
destiny.
really good. Please go. Let's go all the way. Might as well just go all the way back. We're here. We're here. Let's go all the way
All right,
back.
let me run in my room real fast.
Regardless
All
of its Christian
right,
veneer,
you go. You
the
go.
basic tenets of Mormonism are in direct conflict with biblical Christianity. The following piece of animation, based directly on actual Mormon publications, highlights these major doctrinal differences.
Mormonism teaches that trillions of planets scattered throughout the cosmos are ruled by countless gods who once were human like us. They say that long ago on one of these planets, to an unidentified god and one of his goddess wives, a spirit child named Elohim was conceived. This spirit child was later born to human parents who gave him a physical body. Through obedience to Mormon teaching and death and resurrection, he proved himself worthy and was elevated to godhood as his father before him. Mormons believe that Elohim is their heavenly father and that he lives with his many goddess wives on a planet near a mysterious star called Kora. Here, the God of Mormonism and his wives, through endless celestial sex, produced billions of spirit children. To decide their destiny, the head of the Mormon gods called a great heavenly council meeting. Both of Elohim's eldest sons were there, Lucifer and his brother Jesus. A plan was presented to build planet Earth, where the spirit children would be sent to take on mortal bodies and learn good from evil. Lucifer stood and made his bid for becoming savior of this new world. Wanting the glory for himself, he planned to force everyone to become gods. Opposing the idea, the moment Jesus suggested giving man his freedom of choice, as on other planets. The vote that followed approved the proposal of the Mormon Jesus, who would become savior of the planet Earth. Enraged, Lucifer cunningly convinced 1/3 of the spirits destined for Earth to fight with him in revolt. Thus, Lucifer became the devil and his followers the demons. Sent to this world, they would forever be denied bodies of flesh and bone. Those who remained neutral in the battle were cursed to be born with black skin. This is the Mormon explanation for the Negro race. The spirits that fought most valiantly against Lucifer would be born.
So that's the one point of this I feel that people need to pay attention to. Like I was speaking to Afro a few minutes ago. It's surprising. It's just as surprising that Black people in the United States actually, some are Mormon as well. So I just don't understand how a person can believe that they are cursed. Like most mentions of any African person in the Bible put Mormonism to the side is associated with being cursed. So I don't personally want anything to do with that, because I don't feel that my skin is black, brown, or whatever because I'm no damn curse. I feel like the more logical answer and the more realistic answer is that it's more of a natural built sun repellent, right? I think that you're born, if your people are from a place where there's mostly sunlight, more than likely you're going to be darker skin tone. For example, Africans, Australian Aborigines, Indians, people from India, they're typically darker because there's more sunlight. Uh, People that are from those places, when they're taken to a different continent, more than likely they're going to be vitamin D deficient. Um, it's just that simple. If you look at people that are from Europe, um, and some parts of Asia, Northern Asia, they're typically lighter because there's little to no sunlight. Seems logical to me.
Reggie, did you hear how the black people got their black skin? So there were two factions, right? Two groups. The one group go with Satan, the other group go with Elohim. But the ones who remained neutral, because they remained neutral, they didn't choose to be on either side. That's the reason why they are. Shouldn't they be the ones that are, you know, triumphant because they have chosen to not be a part of whatever this bullshit is these people have going on, right? So hey, we got James Apperson.
Hey
Hey,
there, guys. I can't remember the last time we did like a
What's up?
stream where we could just join it. That's wonderful. Hi, Esther.
no, and it's been a while. We thought we'll do this today. Yeah.
Lovely.
Oh, it's wonderful. I'm glad you came up, James.
What's up, James? How you doing?
Good. I don't know what to call you. Reggie?
Mm-hmm. That's my
Awesome. Yeah, I had to squint. I was like, that's fair.
But yeah, that makes absolutely no sense. Especially from the believer's point of view. That's pure comedy. As GMS Nightmare saying, it's pure comedy. And again, one of these days I'm gonna sit down and watch the extended version of this video.
Mm,
And I know it's gonna piss me off, but I want to see it just so I can have a good laugh.
I'm coming in late, but I recognize the imagery. This is the Mormon commercial, isn't it?
yes, it
Yeah,
is.
yes, it
Yeah, it's
is.
heavily racist.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
so racist.
Absolutely.
Very
Absolutely.
racist. And it's crazy how Mormons, they've got churches in Africa, African Mormons, they're black Mormons, and these people are proud to call themselves Mormons. I don't know how they justify um the racism and the origins. I mean, how did okay? Because I've heard somebody say, "Oh, they no longer believe that anymore." So how did they change from believing this, and how? At what point did they stop believing this?
When more white people became secular and black people stayed as religious, if not more religious than they were. That's one. Because you're gonna need members to keep the shit going. So if more
Mm.
white people are going secular, there's nobody else to go to.
Right. This is the same reason that the Catholic Church retired their former pope early. They forced him into retirement so they could
Mm,
replace him with somebody that was not quite liberal, but closer to the left, and more agreeable to the left. And they toned down a lot of their divisive rhetoric in order to have a broader appeal because their church was dying. Any Catholic church you go to, it was just a bunch of old people. And they're like, if we don't fix this, there's not going to be a Catholic church in a generation. And so they had to change. And the same thing with the Mormon church. They realized that they're not going to have a church a generation from now if they don't make some big changes. But
Exactly.
the origin of this is partly based on the idea that everybody is uh, created in the image of God, and they took this to be literal, and so they believed
mm,
in what I call aesthetic morality. And so, if they felt good about a particular thing, they looked at white people as racists. They looked at white people and said, "Wow, that's so much more beautiful to me than the black people. Therefore." It must be that white people are more closer to the image of God than black people. Therefore, I need to find a way to work this into my belief system. And this is why I hate when I hear the phrase created in the image of God, because it does appeal to an aesthetic morality where your particular, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It doesn't matter to me that Joseph Smith liked the way white people look. That doesn't matter to me. But
mhm,
because he
mhm.
was trying to create a religion, he had to work that idea into his religion. And so he had phrases like white and delightsome, right? Because in order to
Oh,
justify in order to justify that, he decided that the black people were black because of the curse of Ham, right? So he decided that to read that idea into the Bibles, but it's not in there. Like there's nothing in there to say that the curse was to make people dark skinned. Like that wasn't even a concept back then.
so if it was the curse of Ham, right?
Hmm.
How then did it extend to everyone else? If Ham is the one being cursed, how then? I mean, I don't understand.
Right. So
Africans are Hamites.
yeah. So basically, the idea curse Ham and then curse the tribe that descends from him, and then the idea is that all the black people that came generations later all trace their lineage back to Ham, which isn't the way that it works in reality. But they
No, you
had to
can't
create
be.
this idea.
Because if Ham was cursed, the lady who he would have had to have intercourse with, whatever lady or ladies, were they cursed too? Because if he was dark and she was um light skin,
Hmm.
right? That you seen how uh, when white people and black people come together,
Right.
chances are the child is somewhere in between. So I don't know how that works.
Well,
What the Hebrew Israelites say here, this is what they say. They say that we the Shemites,
What
which
is
is
that?
fucking stupid. I don't know, a different tribe, because it's all some bullshit to me.
yeah. Well, the idea was to discourage white women from mating with or getting with black people. If you get with this black guy,
Mm,
your children will inherit the curse, and you don't want that.
mm,
It's very despicable. It is so awful. Like, uh,
mm.
hello,
No,
Ian Davenport.
Shemites are
in
people from the Shem Noah's.
And so to think that there's some just recently started finding out, okay, this one actually shocked me. What's his name? This scholar, what's his name? Dan McClellan.
Dan McClellan, yeah,
He's Mormon.
right. So he's what I would call
How
a
is he Mormon?
right.
How?
So he won't discuss it in detail. How I would describe Dan as a cultural Mormon, like somebody saying that they're a cultural Christian,
Okay.
where there's this modern secular expression of Mormonism that's about certain imagery and certain holidays
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and then they just ignore all the background. They just ignore all of it.
Okay. Okay. That would make sense. But
Right.
he still believes in God.
He has some kind of he's somewhere in that domain, but he won't talk about that really in detail either.
Okay. I just think it's crazy, when I don't know. He's one of these people that I'm very skeptical about him.
Sure.
I know somebody who's so enamored by him. He's even doing one of his courses right now. The Dan
Mm,
McMillan.
yeah.
It's a whole 2-3 year course. He's signed up to it and he's busy doing it. I don't know. That's just not for me. I don't know what Dan McMillan has to. I mean, he's a great scholar. Don't get me wrong, but
Right.
signing up to that, not for me.
Right. So how I look at that is that when you look back at the Quakers when they led the abolitionist movement in America, they had evolved morally speaking because they were exposed to secular values. And then they turned around and read those secular enlightenment values back into how they were reading the texts. And
Mm.
that gave them permission to grow because they imagined that God was always against slavery. Now it's incorrect to say that Bible God was always against slavery, but because they imagined it that way, that
Mhm.
they were able to imagine getting permission to grow in that way. Now, when they went to these other churches and said, "Hey, slavery's wrong, racism's wrong," if the Quakers had accidentally matured too far and became atheists instead, and then went to the other churches and said, "Hey, racism is wrong, slavery is wrong," those churches would not have listened to the Quakers.
They wouldn't have.
They wouldn't have. So the only reason they were able to listen to them is because the Quakers were still functioning under the Christian label, under the Christian
Yeah.
banner. And so, with that in mind, Dan McClellan is helping to recreate what it means to be a Mormon in the same way that Quakers reinvented what it meant to be a Christian. Um,
Okay.
and
Okay.
so, in this way, he's on that side of the fence officially, but because he's bringing so many secular enlightened ideals, including proper scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
to that field, he's helping the Mormon. This is the thing, and I tell atheists this all the time: if we really want to win this war, the culture war, if we really want to disarm religion, a lot of that has to happen on that side of the fence. We need them to grow faster and faster so they can be disarmed, so they can be declawed and defanged. And the fastest way for that to happen is for people who still stand on that side of the fence to lead the charge to become more progressive, more enlightened, more reasonable, more informed, more rational. And so for that reason, I'm pretty permissive about Dan McClellan calling himself a Mormon for that reason. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, he has done a lot for a lot of deconstructing people, right? A lot of people that
Right.
I know who, they his content has helped them a lot uh through their process of deconstructing, and
Yeah.
they haven't deconstructed and become Mormons. Absolutely not, because he does not talk about Mormonism at all.
Right.
He talks about the scholarship. He talks about you know, the he tries to make sense of it, and so a lot of them have, used the people I know have used his content to try and make sense of things, and that I appreciate that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm still skeptical. there's
Sure.
someone else who I'm skeptical of as well, and that is oh sugar. What's the name of this author? Everyone seems to love him. It's even the Muslims. A lot of Muslims quote him a lot. What's his name?
Bart Ehrman, maybe.
But yes,
Yeah.
yes, because he is a
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't pay nothing he says any attention. He plays both sides of the fence.
He does, and I have mixed feelings about that. It reminds me of a song, Panic in the Disco song. It's I am an arms dealer, fitting you with weapons in the form of words. I don't care who wins. That's just the business I'm in. So
Mm,
I see him as selling weaponized sound bites to both sides.
Yes, that's exactly what he's doing.
right,
He's in
Yeah.
right.
it for the money.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, Reggie, you remember the other person who came along earlier on when we were doing the live and they were talking about Ayan Percy Ali, right? The
Mhm.
reason why she converted from atheism to Christianity
Uh
because
huh.
it was lonely.
Right. It
There
was
was
lonely.
nobody to talk to.
Right. It was lonely, and
She
it
was
was
on
a
her own.
cope. I mean, she admitted it's a cope. It's a psychological, emotional cope because she was horribly depressed, and
Which
she
one?
wanted
What was the psychological cause? Which one?
Ayan Hirsi. She was
No,
talking about
I know, but which of the is it the Islam?
right. So here's the thing: she's afraid of Islam, and understandably so because they did
Uh-huh,
horrible things to
uh-huh,
her when she was younger, and she feels like there's this looming threat of Islam marching across the world, dominating societies, and if they were to do that, she would again find herself under Islamic rule because they would spread to where she's at, and
uh-huh.
so as a defense mechanism, and so she can feel like she's not alone with that. She aligned herself with Christianity, Christian fundamentalism included, because
Uh-huh,
she
uh-huh.
sees that even though they have problems, she sees them as the best line of defense against the spread of Islam to where she's at. And so she sees herself as aligning with the most powerful foe against Islam in the
Right.
current cultural war.
She's a follower,
Sure,
literally. She's a
sure.
follower, and she's paranoid about everything. You're scared. You're so scared about Islam that you're gonna be a Christian.
Right. So it bothers me to the extent that she's empowering Christianity. Now, if a
Uh-huh,
nobody converts
uh-huh,
to
uh-huh.
Christianity in some way or another, it doesn't really affect anything because nobody's going to hear about it, nobody's
Right.
going to be influenced by it. But
Yeah.
because she's an influencer, when she switches sides and aligns herself with Christianity, she's helping Christianity pick up steam in its effort to become a force in the world again. And if that happens, the same kind of evils that she's worried about Islam will be done by Christianity. And so she's actually working against a whole lot of people by aligning herself in that way. But she doesn't care. She doesn't care who ends up being hurt in the fight. She only cares about how it's going to affect her psychologically, how it's going to affect the life that she has
Uh-huh.
as the political arena changes. It's a very selfish move for her. I get that she's depressed. I get that she's anxious. I get that she's worried and all that stuff. I understand all of that. And if she needs to join a religion as a cope, then okay. But for her to promote it, that crosses the line for me. She should not have done that.
So look, I wish you'd have been here earlier. There was a guy on here that was consistently referencing her, and he kept on saying that it set her free. It set her free from what? From
Yeah, it didn't
what?
set her free from anything. And it's interesting because if you listen closely, she admitted that she's not a true believer because what she said is that she chooses to believe. Well, we know that that's not how beliefs form in the mind. If you are a true believer in something, it happens spontaneously. You don't make the choice. But if you choose to believe in something, what it really means is you're assigning yourself to the narrative. And if you're having to take the step of conscientiously, willfully assigning yourself to a religious narrative or a political narrative or any other narrative, it means that you didn't come to it naturally, right? You're making a strategic decision, which isn't true belief at all. So,
I
eh,
agree.
yeah,
I definitely agree. I was having. I didn't say that, but I was having a debate with the person about that the other day, and I was telling her, I was like, "You have no choice, no control over what you believe."
right.
I said, "I can't force you at this point in your life to believe in Santa Claus, no matter what I do. Even if I put a gun to your head, you may say that you believe the shit, but you don't, because your brain is not going to allow you to be willfully ignorant when you know something's not true, no matter how hard you fucking try.
Right.
And I was telling her, basically, that's the reason why I'm an atheist, because no matter how hard you try to make me believe it, my brain knows that that text is some bullshit, so I can't believe it.
Right. Even if you wanted to, this is why they call it a crisis of faith. There's countless many people who are firm believers in Christianity in a natural, real way. And then eventually they start to realize that it's not true. And then they panic because they want it to be true.
Mhm,
And then they move to wanting to believe it's true, even if it's not,
mhm.
and this is again the stages of the crisis of faith. So there's any number of people in the world where, man, they sure wish it were true. I've even met some atheists who say, I kind of wish it was true. Now I
Right,
cringe
right.
when they say that, but they that's how they see it. So, for someone to say that they're just rejecting what they know to be true, or they're choosing not to believe in a thing, I'm like, no, it never works that way at all.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. You've met another person that I kind of wish it was true. I kind of do.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because it seems like now that things were a little bit easier. You had something like, oh, okay, well, we'll all go die and go to heaven and shit. But for me to know that it's
Right.
not true, it's just like, oh, that's sad.
Yeah. Well, I can sympathize or even relate to the idea of wishing that, or hoping that there's some kind of an afterlife, that there's some kind of a righting of the wrongs, and there's some kind of life after this. I don't suspect that there is, but I
So
separate
I
that
don't.
out. I separate that out from Christianity, right? Like Christianity could be wrong, and there could still be an afterlife, for example, right? So I don't know. For me, though, I don't think it's possible to live forever no matter what, because in order for life to have any meaning and value, there has to be perpetual discovery and growth. Well, otherwise, we're living a stagnant existence. It would become like a hell. So, but in order for there to be perpetual discovery and growth as an individual, that means that we're constantly replacing who we were with a new expression of who we are. In philosophy, this is called the ship of Theseus. You replace one piece of the ship at a time. How many pieces of that ship do you replace before you now consider it to be a new ship, and it's not the old ship anymore, right? So the person's constant. Right now, I'm having a new experience. I'm in this conversation. Right now, I'm growing and changing in some very small way. That's going to continue over time. So if there's a super being that moves us into some kind of paradise afterlife, a spirit creature someday, if we're continuing to have new experiences, then we're continuing to grow and change. If we're continuing to grow and change, then the person who wears my name 1,000 years later will have no resemblance to the person who first made it into that spirit domain. No resemblance at all. And so effectively, I'm still going to die. There's just no way around it.
Hmm. That's true. That is fucking true. I just think that everybody's ideas of what happens in the next life, they're all ideas. Well, I know that's true because
Yeah.
nobody has ever went to the afterlife, came back, and gave any accounts of what was over there. Now I've heard some people about, you know, they may have held their breath for a long ass time and came back and told a story or two,
Sure.
but
Yes.
that could have came from lack of oxygen. I don't know. I mean, your brain keeps working, so ain't no telling what was going on in there.
Yeah.
So
Right. But there are things about Christianity that I don't wish were true, and there are things about it that I do wish were true. Right. And we can make those distinctions. We don't have to say we want all of it to be true or all of it to be false. We can mix and match.
I forgot all about this video. Let me play the rest of
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
have to continue the video.
Born into Mormon families on planet Earth. These would be the lighter-skinned people, or white and delightsome, as the Book of Mormon describes them. Early Mormon prophets taught that Elohim and one of his goddess wives came to Earth as Adam and Eve to start the human race. Thousands of years later, Elohim, in human form once again, journeyed to Earth from the starbase Kolob, this time to have sex with the Virgin Mary, in order to provide Jesus with a physical body. After Jesus Christ grew to manhood, he took at least 3 wives, Mary, Martha, and Mary Magdalene. Through these wives, the Mormon Jesus for whom Joseph Smith claimed direct descent, supposedly fathered a number of children before he was crucified. According to the Book of Mormon, after his resurrection, Jesus came to the Americas to preach to the Indians, who the Mormons believe are really Israelites. Thus, the Jesus of Mormonism established his church in the Americas as he had in Palestine. By the year 421 AD, the dark-skinned Indian Israelites, known as Lamanites, had destroyed all of the white Nephites in a number of great battles. The Nephites' records were supposedly written on golden plates and buried by Moroni, the last living Nephite in the hill Cumorah. 1,400 years later, a young treasure seeker named Joseph Smith, who was known for his tall tales, claimed to have uncovered these same gold plates near his home in upstate New York.
I just want to pause it right there. Right then and there, he's known for his tall tales. Why would you believe anything that he say?
Right. Okay, what a nice way of saying he's a known liar.
Right?
Delusion. He had the delusions of grandeur. His delusions were next to none.
Oh, that's funny. Let me play the rest of it.
He is now honored by Mormons as a prophet because he claimed to have had visions from the spirit world in which he was commanded to organize the Mormon church, because all Christian creeds were an abomination. It was Joseph Smith who originated most of these peculiar doctrines which millions today believe to be true. By maintaining a rigid code of financial and moral requirements and through performing secret temple rituals for themselves and the dead, the Latter-day Saints hope to prove their worthiness and thus become gods. The Mormons teach that everyone must stand at the final judgment before Joseph Smith, the Mormon Jesus, and Elohim. Those Mormons who were sealed in the eternal marriage ceremony expect to become polygamous gods in the celestial kingdom, rule over other planets, and spawn new families throughout eternity. The Mormons thank God for Joseph Smith, who claimed that he had done more for us than any other man, including Jesus Christ. The Mormons believe that he died as a martyr, shed his blood for us, so that we too may become gods.
I mean, if you're going to dream big, right? Like, I'm going to become a god someday. Like, I like the part where he's like, Jesus, and man, that guy was a poser. Look at what I'm doing. Like, okay, man.
The first time I seen this cartoon, I kind of said something similar. I said, now that's probably the best heaven scenario story I've ever heard.
Uh-huh.
I would rather have my own planet and be my own god and start my own race. That's pretty cool instead of just having milk and honey and gold and shit. I thought that was all right, but it's craziness.
Yeah. So we got GMS Nightmare in the house. Says Christianity sold us a fantasy which gave us a lot of comfort.
It did. It did. But now that I look at it now, I really feel stupid more than anything for ever believing it.
Not your fault.
Yeah.
I know. It's not. It's not.
Yeah, look at that. I feel the same way, but then I remind myself that this gives me empathy for people that are still believers, because, if I can have been that deceived and that deep in the Kool-Aid, then it's easy to understand how somebody else can be too, right?
Mm-hmm. Me too. And now that I realize that I'm not in the faith anymore, that a lot of the people that we debate with and they get so upset is that they look at Jesus and God as a family member of theirs. They think that they really related to Abraham and shit. So,
Yeah. One of my friends thinks that. He thinks he's a direct descendant from Abraham. I mean, I don't know if you know Tobias Singer, but he thinks that.
No, I don't know. But then every time I hear a person say that, it's just funnier and funnier. First of all, Abraham never existed. That's number one.
Right.
They got that story from Hinduism, truthfully, because that's Brahmin.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that they don't know that.
No, they don't know. They don't want to know either. That's the interesting thing.
And you can show them hardcore proof, and you can show them that Hinduism is way older, and that all aspects of Christianity were borrowed from other places, every part of it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to accept it.
Nope.
Afro, you're kind of
Yeah.
quiet over there.
I'm here. I'm here. I thought you were playing the video. What happened to it?
It's over.
It's
Oh,
over.
It's over.
I know it's about 2 o'clock your time over there.
They
yeah.
lived. It ended. They lived happily ever after.
So
No,
I go ahead.
no, I'm just thinking, how do the Mormons have these ideas, right? How do they have those ideas? And then they call themselves Christians. How does that make sense? How do
Well,
they have this special whole thing with the whole Joseph Smith, and they are Christians too? And then you go the other denominations, these are Christians. Over there, those are Christians. I mean, at what point do people start asking, how can Christianity be so divided?
right.
How can you have all these many denominations and all these many people saying that they are, uh, the true? Because when you go to any of these denominations, they tell you they are the ones, they've got the truth, right? So
Mm-hmm.
how is that even possible?
Right. So the idea, I think, that God is the worst communicator to ever exist.
I just think that they correlated with, you know, Mr. Tall Tales. He
Mm-hmm.
found the pot of gold with the Holy Scripture. So since he was the chosen one by God, he's special. So when you get to the pearly gate, you got to go through him, Elohim, and Jesus. So I could see kind of how they can believe it. I mean, it's stupid, but at the same time, all the other denominations that got a weird twist to them too. If people can believe them once, they can believe anything. If
Yeah.
listen, if people can believe Jehovah's Witnesses, where they know, well, I ain't gonna say they know, where they believe that heaven is already full, and you still worshiping it, then you can believe
Sure.
anything.
Sure. I mean, my mom went through the JW phase and got drug along with her when I was a teenager. So I remember that.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Mormonism, a lot of the commercials are just very cute young girls, right?
Mm,
Teenage
mm,
girls,
yes.
and they're adorable. And I think it appeals to a lot of men's loneliness.
Mm,
To say, you
mm,
know, wow, look at all these cute little girls. Teenagers, if you're a young man, all right, but a lot of these men are 40s and their 50s thinking, wow, I wonder if these 20-year-olds are single. And I'm like, dude, just stop.
right,
But they are bringing people in. It's that whole marketing, sex sells, right? It's visual appeal. It's, oh, maybe there's something there for me. And I
right.
just, and I don't, and I think that most women who end up joining it, either it's because they were born into a family. I think that most of the new recruits they get are dudes, but it's whatever.
so
And so,
go ahead,
mm,
go ahead, Afro.
no, uh, uh, so when you were playing the video, right? The
Hmm.
God, Elohim, he had many wives, had many
Mm,
women, and had loads of uh, celestial sex,
mm-hmm.
right? So this just shows that the whole thing is very man centered. It's very much a religion that caters to the desires of men.
Right.
Not so much the woman, she's just there to please the man. She's
Mm,
just there to give him what what he wants and raise the babies. And so it just, I don't know how women still go along with this. I don't know how women are comfortable with this.
Me
I mean,
neither.
don't get me wrong, when I was a believer, I didn't think this deep. I didn't think, you just believe. So, but now it's just, how are women comfortable with this? How?
right.
Mm.
I mean, I think that's why they don't have as many women converts. Most of them, like I said, are born into the families. But this is why Mormon families try to have as many kids as possible, the same as a Catholic family.
Right, right. That makes sense. That makes sense. And right now, it's not as when it comes to um, large families. I think the Muslims are taking over in that department. What do you think? Do you think because the Muslims they talk about being the fastest growing religion,
Hmm.
but that has been put down to the birth rate that goes on in Islam,
Right.
and men allowed to have four women. So just because they just keep popping them out and popping them out. So yeah, just that whole people need to have babies born within the religion. They capitalize on the childhood indoctrination. Start them young, right? Start
Hmm.
the babies young.
Right.
Start teaching them about Jesus young. It's harder to deconstruct if you have been indoctrinated as a child.
Right.
It's harder.
And it's interesting because the idea is that the reason so much suffering is allowed to exist in this world is because free will. God doesn't want to interfere with anybody's free will. But then they have a religion whose primary focus is interfering with people's free will,
Right,
indoctrinate children, and
right.
do legislation to force people to comply. And
Mm,
I'm like, well, so much for free will.
Here come the lies again. Listen,
Yeah.
so look, E said earlier today, Reggie compared the rape of a 4-year-old a few years ago, which was proven to a Quran story of Muhammad marrying a 6-year-old. He drew the comparison to conclude that a Muslim is just as vile as a child rapist. That's not true, and I'm going to explain to you why. Earlier today, Reggie was on a podcast about what's her name? Afro?
for the
Foodie Cutie,
for the
right?
beauty.
Right. I was invited to this podcast specifically because I was 100% unaware of anything about her. I've never heard
Blank,
anything. I know,
blank.
right, completely blank. I don't know anything about Foodie Beauty. I do not paw anything about her. It's not my interest. What my interests are sports, politics, and religion, number one. So the reason why I was brought to this is because I'm completely unbiased about it, right? The other two people that are involved in the story, which Foodie Beauty was plotting about and arguing with back and forth, I have no idea who these people are in this world or anything that they've done in this world. I don't know their names or any of that. When their names were brought up, I made it 100% clear that I have no idea of this. What Reggie said is this: Foodie Beauty cannot complain about anything about a person criticizing her. And the reason why she cannot criticize anything about what a person says to her is because she is a consistent shit talker. That's number one, what I said. Number two, what I said is she cannot criticize anybody, right, for condoning pedophilia because her religion, she literally worships someone's that is a pedophile. So she condones pedophilia by her belief. By her being a Muslim, what she does is she condones the behavior of Muhammad, which married a 6-year-old. The last thing that I said, which Afro brung up to me, which I was unaware of, to further my point, was the same person, Foodie Beauty. Say it, Afro, so I don't misquote it. This is not no excuse, OE. I don't make excuses because I don't know who this fat ass girl is. I have no idea who her fat motherfucking ass is. Afro, can you please tell me? Can you please explain to the audience why she can't say that either, so I don't misquote it?
No, I think she stepped away for a moment. Yeah, so I don't know the background of this.
Can
I
you
don't.
hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we can
we
hear
can
you
hear
now.
you now. Can you please explain why Foodie Cutie can? She's not cute. Excuse me.
I'm here. I'm here.
Foodie Beauty
Beauty.
cannot say anything about a person condoning the rape of a 4-year-old because she did what?
So
Who did
one
she
of
protect?
the one of her moderators in her chat.
Mm-hmm.
He was a convicted sex offender,
Hmm.
child sex offender, and she defended that guy. She
Booty cutie.
actively defended that guy.
Wow.
Booty beauty defended a convicted child molester. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh
And we
no.
we do have to be careful though about the words we use because I don't want to get us struck down by the AI filter. But yeah, that
okay.
sounds pretty
Okay.
extreme.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter, if she still celebrates Christmas. She is a devout, spoken
So
Muslim. She calls herself that. This is not me calling her a Muslim.
she's
Again,
not a Muslim.
again,
She calls herself a Muslim, so you can't
I don't
invalidate.
know what she
Make more
is.
sense.
I don't know who she is.
So EE seems to think that she doesn't even identify as a Muslim.
So why the fuck she running her job then? Why the fuck she moved to Kuwait? Why the fuck she
If she
married a
calls
Muslim man?
herself a Christian, a Muslim, then why then would you say she's not? She only celebrates Christmas because she wants gifts
Uh,
from her family. That's the only reason why she celebrates Christmas. That's the only reason. But she doesn't want to miss out on all the gifts. She doesn't celebrate. She made it clear that she doesn't celebrate. She just, because her family do. So she's going to be with her family. They're the ones that celebrate. She doesn't.
but wait a minute. She's playing a character for the audience. That's not who she is in real life. So when do you know she's being honest and being genuine? So if
Mm,
you're saying that she's playing a character doing that, right? I'm not. I don't know. Maybe she's not. Right? Maybe she is. How do you know she's not? Wasn't being playing a character when she was doing all that arguing back and forth and saying that
right.
XYZ? How do you know this?
Mm,
You don't know that. I don't know it because I don't know shit about her. Again, I was invited because I don't know anything about her. That is the point.
thank you.
Two,
Thank
she
you
married a
for
Muslim man
thank
because
you
no one
for
else claims
accepting
her.
the invitation.
Solid wants a Canadian passport. Probably. And she's just a fat bitch to give it to him. When she rages, she is being genuine. We know she is because she's years of watching her. Right, you know her. You know her. I don't.
Mm,
Years of watching her, we know who she really is. So you know she's really being fake.
Right. So in the meantime, if somebody puts themselves out on YouTube with and says certain things and acts a certain way,
Hmm.
mm,
they don't then get to turn around and complain when they're taken in the context that they offer themselves. You don't get to have it both ways. And now if they offer a disclaimer before and after, to say, hey, this I'm going to play a character for a moment, then okay, you can let that go to an extent, not completely, right? Because even playing a character, you don't get to defend pedophilia, right? You don't get to do that even as a character.
Then why did you make big opinions if you don't know her? I made an opinion on her because I was brought to the show to make an opinion of her, and this is what my opinion is. Right? She's on YouTube. Um, she has thousands of followers. She's
yes.
getting paid for what she does. I feel like she should not complain about any flack she's getting because she is a celebrity. When you decide to take that light, right? When that's what you want to do, criticism comes with it, right? My second thing is she shouldn't complain about the criticism she gets because she's saying it out too. It doesn't matter who's wrong or who's right in this situation. My
Mm,
premise on pedophilia is this: if you touch a child in any circumstance, no matter who you are, you deserve the fullest punishment of the law or whatever their parents feel like doing to you. If their parents catch you and they unalive you, you deserve it. That's my stance on it. So I'm not defending um anyone. Muhammad is a pedophile. If the person that you're talking about really is a pedophile that she's saying did that, then they deserve whatever criticism they get. But she also is defending one as well too. So it is what it is. I'm not because I don't know these people. I have no idea. I don't know if they're white, black, Hispanic, except for her. I have no idea who these people are. You brought the other woman onto your show. No, she brought me. This is her show.
what other woman?
Why did you
What are
want her
they
to share?
talking about? Never mind, Reggie. Please just ignore them.
I
Just
didn't.
ignore them.
I didn't want her to stop raging. I want her to stop crying because she's getting paid. You getting paid, you can't cry. That would be like Will Smith or something getting mad because people are saying stuff about him. You're getting paid. So fucking what? Stop crying.
And
Period.
she's now with this lady is now with a Muslim man. What's gonna be the future for her? What's gonna be the future for this whole converting? It's not going to last long. When she found out that the man cheated on her, she immediately said, "Oh, no, 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 I'm not doing this God thing anymore. This God thing, she's quick to say she's not doing it anymore."
Reggie is a PDO defender, and I will make sure your channel stays at 2 views while live. Good luck. Good
Oh,
luck with that.
don't you dare!
I could easily just block her or something. It doesn't matter. I don't care what she's doing. I don't care nothing about that fat ass girl. Nobody cares. She has not seen her coochie in years.
You know what? This is just somebody that has decided that they just want to be a piece of shit.
Right.
So yeah, just let them. Sometimes people just need to insert themselves where they're not wanted.
I don't know who the 4-year-old is, but whoever did that to the 4-year-old, if they did it, deserves whatever comes with it. So,
Right? Right. Anyway. Well, let's see. Keep projecting that's Christianity. What does that mean? Keep projecting that's Christianity. What does that mean?
I'm assuming they're talking to E, but listen, look,
Okay.
EE, if you're saying I'm a PDO defender, right? Keep saying that. Keep tell everybody you can that. You know why? Because you're gonna get me more followers. So keep spreading the news. Give me free promotion. See, unlike the person that you're defending, I realize that it's always good. All publicity is good publicity. So, and that was my other point. The more
No, but
people talk shit about her, the more she gets paid.
no, but this is you see the way you've taken your time and explain exactly what happened, right?
Hmm.
Um, I mean, someone comes along and they see that you're an atheist, that's number one, so you don't believe in God. And, I mean, yeah, someone who doesn't believe in God, you haven't got the same sort of values that they place on sex and sexuality and all these things. I mean, a thinking person would say, okay, why then is he being called that? Why? We want to know how come you're being called. So I don't know if you whatever it is you're planning to do, are you going to invest your time in trying to call Reggie that? You're just
Please do.
wasting your time.
Please do.
You're
Because
wasting your time.
I have no idea who this person is that you're saying I'm defending. I have to know them. What do they what please put in the chat. Tell me what they look like. Tell me how old they are. Tell me something about them. Tell me they white, black, what? Is they a foodie too?
Which
Like
one?
whoever they're saying I'm defending, like
Yeah,
Oh
tell
yes.
me.
How can you defend somebody you don't even have
I
no idea of?
I don't know. I just want them to
No idea
please tell
of.
me something about them.
Oh,
So if you spread this news that I'm just a PDO defender, make sure you tell me something about them so I can have a defense for myself, so I can know something about them because I don't know. Tell me.
so I was just gonna block EA for being a troll, but it's interesting that my chat's not updating properly. It's
mm,
I'm not seeing them at all in the on the user side of it. I mean, on the viewer side, I'm only seeing them in the StreamYard chat for some reason. It's weird.
okay.
This is hilarious.
But yeah, we got Kay Allen in here, sticking up for you though.
Thank you, Kay Allen. I see you too. Thank you.
Okay, Alan, thank you.
And that's how you know they lying. Talk about on your stream you had earlier. That wasn't even my stream.
It was my stream, but it was being projected onto Reggie's Reggie's channel,
Right?
Reggie's feed.
How am I gonna have a stream about a girl I never knew nothing about until today? I didn't know nothing about her. Nothing.
Are we dual streaming? Is it showing up on somebody else's?
On Reggie's, mine and Reggie's.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm seeing. So I'm seeing Reggie's chat. That's got to be it. So it's not showing up on Esther's chat. It's showing up in
Right.
Reggie's.
Yes.
I got
Yes.
it now.
Shout out to all the people coming in here saying that I'm a PDO defender. Shout out to you. Listen, I'm gonna be back on tomorrow 11:30. Make sure y'all come back tomorrow and put it in the chat. Make sure you comment it, give a thumbs up on the chat, say I'm a PDO defender. Please. Please.
Reggie, you're asking for it, Reggie.
Uh,
Asking for
I
it.
can't stop you, so go ahead.
yeah, but I don't want that publicity. You can have it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
As soon as we rewind
I
that tape.
I don't want that for you, Reggie.
As soon as we rewind that tape, because they keep saying earlier on, it was at the 25-minute mark. Make sure you look at that so you can see exactly what I said. The truth will set you free.
Are you trying to do it now?
No, I'm just saying. I'm not
Okay,
concerned
okay,
with it. I'm
okay,
fucking with
okay.
them because I know if you just review the tape or whatever, you're just gonna see like I don't know who these people are.
Okay. Anyway, guys, this has been good. But yeah, it's pretty late, and I need to get some sleep. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Reggie, thank you.
Thank you.
James, it's good to have you. James, you still do your live streams?
I do still, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. That's good to hear. I don't know, I don't see you. So maybe when you stream, I'm not on the tubes at all.
Yeah, that
So
could be. So I'll go ahead and drop my link there in the chat.
all right.
Right.
Thank you,
Thank you for
James.
stopping by, Jay.
James,
Thank you.
yeah.
Great.
All right,
Right.
everyone. Don't forget to give the stream a thumbs up, right? And that's James's channel over there. Please make sure to give James a follow. Very great host. Does fantastic live streams. So
Thanks,
make sure
guys.
to give him a follow.
It was great
Okay.
meeting with
Reg,
you and having a chance to hang with you, Reg.
Thank you. Good meeting you
Reggie,
too.
put your link in the chat thingy once more before we leave, so people can subscribe to your channel.
Check me out tomorrow morning, y'all. 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. Faith, lies, and confusion. Stop by. Check me out.
Okay. All right, everyone. You all be good. Good night. Good night. Hey,
Good night.
Dr.
Good night, guys.
Cyrus. Hey, Dr. Cyrus, where have you been? Dr. Cyrus. Okay. Anyway, it's time for me to go. All right, everyone. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.
I'm going to jump back